So I'm still waiting on parts to ship in. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you how to balance and polish a crank. So we have the crank on the balancing jig here, and you can clearly see that there is a lot of imbalance in this crank, which is fine for a street motor. But since we're going to be pushing a lot of power, we will need to address that. So let me show you how that's done. Alright, before anything, I want to attach this adapter bearing on the end here. That'll make it easier to go to high RPM around 8,000, which is the intended for the build. So we're going to go ahead and install that now. Alright, now that that is attached, we can move on to balancing the crank. Since I want to be able to go boosted in the future if I need to, I do want to reinforce this crank. So I'm going to add a reinforcement bar that I have. This is old stock from Skunk 2. We should be able to get this on there pretty easy. As you can see now, the crank is a lot stronger, so we just had to do a little bit more balancing, and it should be sitting even. Alright, well, look at that. Now the crank is balanced and is almost ready to go in the car. We just have to polish it. Alright, so to calculate how we're going to sand this crank to polish it, we have to calculate the sandpaper grit that we need to use. So to do that, you put in this function. J is the power that you intend to make, so I'm going for 240 horsepower NA. D represents the displacement of the engine in liters, and you multiply that by 100, so that would be, in this case, 240, since it's a JDM K24. Then you divide that by 2, and then you divide everything there by 160. So that's how we get our S of which grade sandpaper we're going to use to sand this crank with. So if you plug in that number for this engine in particular, that ends up being 180 grit. So we're going to go ahead and polish this crank and get it ready for use. So we're just going to very quickly run through all of these, go ahead and get them sanded up to spec, and we'll get back. If you want to polish a crank like this, after you're done sanding, you want to go ahead and file away any burrs on there so it's a nice flat surface. And final step is to hit it with a wire brush. I like to use steel one since this is a steel crank, so you want to use similar material so it doesn't take anything off. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, we can work on assembling the motor. Next video, we will be putting this in the block and likely putting the pistons in. So, I'll show you how that's done. Should be a pretty fun process, and I can't wait to see you guys.